Welcome back and thank you for joining us on the Mudise Network. While the world is focused on the World Cup in Russia at the moment, yet again South Africa is not represented there. And the last time we played the World Cup was in 2010 when we hosted the tournament. And since then, South Africa has been sliding on the world rankings. And somebody who knows about winning a tournament is Mark Fish, who was part of the Africa Cup team of 1996. And we are also joined by Baba Mthethwa, well-known, much appreciated, most loved commentator, who is also a keen supporter of Bafana. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, as we were talking about the past, I realized, that football unites people. The last time we met and spoke was 10 years ago, and it had to do with football. It had to do with the World Cup, which was great, because then we were hoping that we might give a great performance in 2010. Well, not much has changed. Baba Mthethwa, it was 2-3 years ago again.
2016.
2016,
yes.
When we met and had the last chat. But how do you feel about this, Mark, that we don't have a team there, man, at the World Cup? But we have to keep on watching all these matches. Huh?
Yeah, and watching all other African teams representing the continent. We were just talking about it earlier. It's very disappointing. I mean, there you say 2010, but 2010 we qualified because we hosted the tournament. So 1998 we qualified. In 2002, coincidentally, we had Carlos Guerreros was heading up the coaching Bafana.
And then we qualified.
We qualified, and then
South Korea and Japan. Yeah.
And then they fired him. 2006 we didn't qualify. 2010 we didn't qualify because we hosted it.
2014?
So it's 4 World Cups since we qualified.
That's
if you look back to, we all know the history of South Africa and South African football the same. We got readmitted in 1992. 4 years later, we're winning the continent's biggest tournament.
Yes.
And then 2 years later, qualifying for the World Cup. So, and then 4 years later, and then that year, getting to the finals.
Yes.
Then 2000, and then qualifying for the 2002 World Cup, and in 2000 getting to the semi-finals and coming third in the continent's tournament. So slowly going from number one, gone backwards.
World Cups that were, successive World Cups
that we haven't qualified for.
And how do you feel about this, man? As one of the foremost fans, and you get people interested in football and supporting the local teams and local football, but still, it's not delivering the goods.
But Tim, it's important that we understand why people support football. The first thing is supporters love individuals, and that love from individuals goes to them loving the team. And if a team is not performing, there will be no supporters. That's the first thing. Bafana would not perform well if no one is watching them. If you look at the numbers going back from 1992 when we played our first game in Durban against Cameroon, and it was a full house. Come 1994 when we played Zambia, after the new president, Tata Mandela, rest in peace. And thereafter we played Brazil, Argentina, Holland, Germany, full house. Then we won the Cup of Nations in 1996, like Fishy said. Then went to Africa again now, qualified, nice, without hosting. Came second in Egypt, against Egypt in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. Then came third position. Thereafter, nothing, and now nothing. Big question is, do football fans appreciate that? Do they feel appreciated by the performance of the team and largely by the association? Remember, the team is controlled by the association. They should make it possible for a team to be able to have the resources. If they do have the resources, are they using it the way they should? Are we having the best manpower in the world that we can? If we managed to pay Pereira 1.8 million at that time, and he did nothing for us, and we knocked out in the World Cup and still hold the worst record ever of being knocked out as host, I think we can pay somebody a bigger amount to keep us in the World Cup. The very same Quiros that we spoke about earlier. We qualified for 2002 Korea-Japan. As he was about to go to the World Cup, they chased him away. Then Joma had to come in and take the team. The team played well, honestly. They lost narrowly to Spain in Korea-Japan, 3-2. And it was just a silly mistake. It was the end of the game,
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. Now, you look at that and say, where does the problem lie? Probably that's where we should focus on.
Okay, we will come back to solving the problem. I just want to retrace steps with you, Mark, because, for football fans, when they went to the stadium, they knew they were going to get, well, I wouldn't say money's worth, because it's not valued according to that, but they knew that their expectations, aspirations were going to be satisfied by the kind of team that played for Clive Barker in 1996, and of course in the lead up to 1996.
So unfortunately, I think, like Baba said, and you actually put it in a different perspective when fans go to the stadium, because they actually go watch players, and we were very fortunate. We had the John Shoes Mashay, the late John Shoes, the Doctors Kamala, that were phenomenal on the ball. Then you had other players that Sizwe Matong going up the wing. So you had fans going there to support these players, and obviously when you're a team, when you anyone likes to be around success. When you are successful, you know, teams want to be.
But what was happening at the time, you see, that made fans have confidence when they went to the stadium?
I think we were winning.
These guys are going to deliver.
Definitely, we were winning.
Well, they battled first. You see, remember the 4x4?
No, I wasn't. Fortunately, I wasn't part of that era. I came just afterwards.
Yeah, but even still,
the difference about that team in 1992 that we came in, we played, and we had the Four Nations tournament. We won it against us, Zimbabwe and Zambia. We won it, and Ghana as well.
Yeah.
We won it, no problem. And then the bigger boys came into the official games, which was Zimbabwe. We lost 4-0.
Yeah.
Went to Nigeria. We lost 4 again.
Yeah.
But that was a very good lesson for us, because thereafter we started making our mark. Do you know that around that time, just before Cup of Nations, we ended up being 20th in the world?
Yes.
That was the very first and last time that we were in the top 20 in the world. Now, the team that played at that time had support because they were winning, despite the fact that they lost 4-0, 4-0 against the 2 big nations at that time. Bafana resurrected and showed that they've evolved from being minnows now becoming the actual powerhouse of football on the continent, which we are supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, we started where we started with all the losses, and everybody could understand that we're inexperienced on the international stage. But once the experience kicked in, you know, it was on the back of the Africa, the Champions Cup that Pirates had won, which you were part of. Yep. So, you know, winning becomes a habit, isn't it? Even from the perspective of the fan. So and we were not giving them the chance of winning the cup in 1996 to be fair.
No, you didn't.
It was just in the lead up, you know, the quarters, the semi-finals, where we saw the performance improve with every game. It was great. So what did we do wrong? How would you say is wrong currently compared to your era?
I'll tell you immediately what we did right at the time. We had a team that believed in the coach. We had the coach that believed in the team. We had the federation that believed in the coach at the time. And us believing in the federation. Yes, we might have still fought about monies and that, but, you know, the late Sticks Moreau would come there and you would listen and we could communicate at least with them. And then we had the media behind us. The media slowly got behind us as well.
Yeah.
So everyone was working in unison to make sure that this team can have a platform where we could succeed, and we went on to succeed. So if we look at that now, do we have that at the moment as well? Do we have the players that fans want to go to the stadium to watch, individuals? I don't know, is it maybe Percy Towles, maybe the only one, I think, at that level? Is the federation working hand in hand with the coach and vice versa? Do the players believe in the coach and vice versa? I don't think, when you look from the outside, it doesn't look like we have that. And if you don't have that unison, sorry, we are going to fail. Yes, we're not going to qualify for another World Cup. And I need to say that at the end of the day, unfortunately, I don't want to be one of these ex-players that's having a go at the federation. But if we look at it, in 1992, we got readmitted into world football. We've probably had about 400, 450 players that have played. I think we've had 21, 22 coaches, but we still got a lot of the same individuals running the football in the federation. So where do you think we need to change?
Where should the change happen? We'll pick up the conversation, because this is not a whinge session, right? We can identify the problems. We are relatively smart people who understand what's going on. We can offer some solutions, at least, or ideas that can help South African football. Mark Fish knows what he's talking about. He's played the game, won tournaments, and Baba Mthethwa is always on the ball every weekend. Much loved commentator. We'll continue with our conversation in a moment. And remember to join our conversation. The hashtag is the Modise Network, and we'll pick up this conversation in a moment.